And we're off to the races, my friends. How about this 2025 spring training game one almost in the books? Cubs with a pretty commanding 12-4 lead in this one as we welcome you inside Studio K. Lauren Gardner, Dan Plesac here with you. Dan, the thing that stood out to me was Yoshinobu Yamamoto. An inning and 2/3, 3 hits allowed, 0 runs, and 0 walks.
Yeah, I think the most important thing, too, his stuff was really good. Fastball topped out at 97 miles an hour, a couple of strikeouts, one on a cutter, one on a curveball. He threw the ball really well, 5 curveballs. Looked in really good form. It's kind of an accelerated spring training, right? He's going to be pitching game one of that series in Tokyo against the Cubs, so he doesn't have a whole lot of time left, but boy, he looked awfully good.
Yeah, he really did. And, the Dodgers is kind of fun to do.
I'm worried about the Dodgers right now, Lauren. 12-4? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's World Series hangover to Cactus Lake.
Obviously, we say that in jest for those of you who did not get his sarcasm. All right, we're going to get you caught up on all the action from this game and more with MLB Tonight that starts right now. Well, it might be chilly here in the Northeast, but things are nice and warm down in spring training. Jose Altuve, a little bit of a position change, taking reps in the outfield. Meanwhile, Alex Bregman, how about this? Taking reps at third. This might be controversial for you Red Sox fans. And there he is, another look, Mets fans, at Juan Soto, the huge offseason acquisition for New York, running the bases as we welcome you inside of Studio K. Dan Plesac, Lauren Gardner here for this spring training edition of MLB Tonight. It's happening. It's happening. It looks strange seeing Jose Altuve with an outfielder's glove, right? We're used to him at second base. I still that iconic picture of Aaron Judge standing on second base with Altuve next to him. It looked like the tall guy and the short guy, right? But he's trying to make the transition a little bit, doing some things around there at Houston. Juan Soto, welcomed addition. You know, listen, he's a generational type offensive player. The Mets are hoping for big things. And listen, I talked to the Astros camp about that when we were down at the Grapefruit Media Days, and they said, you know, this may not be immediate for Altuve, but they definitely want to make sure, especially without Kyle Tucker, that they have the option of Altuve to move out. Yeah, it's going to be their first choice. Yeah, it's going to be second. It's going to be interesting to see how the Astros handle all of this, right? Yeah. You're losing a guy like a big bat like Kyle Tucker. He fouled that ball off his leg, missed a lot of time after the All-Star break last year. Don't ever think that the Astros are kind of rebuilding. They're kind of retooling. I think they're going to be a big factor in the West again. With their starting pitching, bullpen is still really good. They're a factor in the West. And versatility is key. If anything, history has taught us is that never count out the Astros, including last season. They stormed right back in. Let's get you some highlights from the first game of spring training here. Cubs-Dodgers. So much fun to watch. Yamamoto on the mound for L.A. Brujan swinging. I mean, Dan, his stuff. Pretty electric this early. You know what? If he can stay off the IL, there's no saying how good this guy can be. Most decorated pitcher come over from Japan, and there have been some good ones, but he's the most decorated. Yeah, bottom one, Mookie Betts leading off for the Dodgers. That's a leadoff walk. Runner on first. We have some action here. Max Muncy takes an 0-1 pitch inside ball. Cody Petit challenges the call. Here we go. First ABS challenge. How do we feel about this? I like it right now. I was a big proponent saying, hey, leave it in the hands of the catchers, right? Petit says, no, I think that was a strike. And guess what? He was right. Kind of wild. Later on in the at-bat, Muncy strikes out swinging. So the challenge actually worked out. He's going to strike out top second. Yamamoto back out for another inning of work, facing Gage Workman. He's going to give up that single. Yamamoto, though, we talked about his line a little earlier, an inning of 2/3. 3 hits allowed, 0 runs, 2 Ks in his spring debut. Bottom 2 here, Eddie Rosario, runner on. How about this? A 2-run shot. That looks good, Dan. Just what the Dodgers need, right? More insurance in that lineup, right? Hits right-handed pitching very well. A great opportunity for him on a really good team. Top 3 here, Bobby Miller on the mound for L.A. Michael Busch. Line drive. Oh, man, Miller goes down. What a scary moment. Yeah, every pitcher's nightmare, right? You let go of the ball, Lauren. You lose sight of it for a fraction of a second. You know it's coming at you. It makes it really difficult, too. You look at that backdrop. Yellow seats, a white shirt. It's hard to pick up the ball. Hopefully he's okay. Walked off on his own. Yeah, that's obviously promising news there. Later on, Cubs now 3-1. Alcantara up with 2 on. That's a single. 1 run will score. Cubs 6th-ranked prospect with the second hit of the day. Bottom 4 here, 6-3 Cubs. Hye-Sung Kim in his Dodgers debut. So Kim with the walk, he goes 0 for 1 with the walk in his debut. Dodgers go on to lose 12-3. Let's hear from Max Muncy on this historic day.
I was pretty positive it was a strike, and then the umpire balled it. It's also the first game for the umpires as well. So they're still hunting in their zones, but it was a pitch that I definitely thought was a strike. He balled it, and I look out, and the pitcher seemed very excited to challenge that one. And yeah, when he challenged it, I knew it was going to get overturned. And I went, oh man, I'm gonna be the first one on this. This is great.
He's the answer to a trivia.
Yeah, there always has to be the first, right? He's the first. It's going to be interesting to get 2 challenges a game to see how they go about doing this. Are you going to save them till later on in the game, or are you going to use one early on? Like let's just say if you're the Yankees, have the bases loaded, nobody out, consecutive outs, a pitch is close with 2 strikes. I think the last thing you want to do is go home with 2 of them in your pocket. If you have them, you might as well use them.
They're definitely not rollover challenges, but what would your strategy be, especially, when you were starting pitcher?
Well, Lauren, you're asking the wrong guy. You're asking a pitcher. Every pitch that's close is a pitcher I want called for a strike. But, Max Muncy is going to be the answer to a trivia question. Who was the first guy that got challenged and lost it? It was Max Muncy.
You could see that in his interview. He knew that. He was thrilled to be part of history on that side anyway. And hey, kudos to Petit as we take a look here at the ABS challenge rules. Only used in spring training, will not be implemented in the regular season here in 2025. So you only have the 2 challenges. Like you said, only the batter, pitcher, or catcher can challenge. Now, assistance from the dugout or elsewhere not permitted. I don't know how they're going to police that.
I really like this. That line there, assistant from the dugout or elsewhere not permitted. It'll keep guys from peeking into the dugout and having somebody that's seen it on replay or something say, hey, go ahead and challenge it, like split second. I love that part of this. Hopefully it holds up.
What if you're like a hitter in a home ballpark? Are you going to listen to some of the fans behind the plate?
In a big spot, it's hard not to be emotional when you're in the batter's box or on the mound. And I talked about this last night. I think through the eyes of a pitcher, a lot of times you throw a pitch that you think is a good pitch. You see the catcher catch it, but these guys are so good now with catching and framing pitches that a couple of inches off that they can make it look deceptive. And a lot of times you go back after a game, you look at it and the pitch wasn't quite as good as you thought it was live.
So you would defer to your catcher?
I would defer to the catcher.
I think that makes
I'd want everything to be a strike, Lauren.
I mean, how could you not? Of course. It's okay in the moment. We understand the bias. Some news here from Bob Nightingale, the Dodgers' everyday top of the lineup this year per Dave Roberts. Does this look familiar? How ridiculous is this?
I mean,
3 MVPs.
You can juggle this any way you want to juggle it, right? If I'm a starting pitcher right now and you pull this out of a hat and said, okay, the lineup on Monday is going to be Freeman, Betts, Ohtani, Teoscar, you're like, man, that's tough.
Sweet.
And then on Tuesday, it's going to be Freeman, Ohtani, Betts, then Teoscar. And you're like, okay. And then on the 3rd game of the series, they're going to go Freeman, Teoscar, Mookie, and Ohtani. There's no breathing room.
Get out of here.
You could make a case the top 4 in that lineup is as good as any top 4 in the lineup in a really long time.
And it gets more dangerous because Shohei Ohtani, who pitched out of the stretch with the Angels, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, now has been experimenting with a full windup in the Dodgers bullpen sessions. So, quote, as part of being a baseball player, I do want to explore different options, different avenues to see if I can grow as a player. Of course, it's the most Ohtani thing I've ever heard. He wants to keep evolving as one of the best players of all time.
Yeah, he is amazing what we've been able to see from him. And I've been on record when I watched videotape when he was coming over from Japan, and I did a deep dive on this guy. And I'm going to tell you, Lauren, to me, if you never watched a baseball game and you watch this guy pitch, you'd say he's a pitcher. That's what he does. And very rarely do you see these two-way players, a pitcher and an infielder or outfielder.
Yeah.
You can normally tell, hey, you know what, this guy, he throws the ball okay, but I would guess that he's a better hitter than he is a pitcher. If you didn't watch baseball and you watched this guy throw, you would say, wow, that guy is a great pitcher. I have no idea. He's arguably the best left-handed batter in the game right now. He is a one-of-a-kind. They call him the baseball unicorn for a reason. The game has never seen a guy like this in the history of baseball. There have been some greats, and I know you go back to Babe Ruth, a two-way player, but what this guy is able to do at the height that he does it, it's one thing to be a hitter and be a pitcher, but to be a pitcher and being a elite guy that's 98 to 100 with a great slider. He had a great split finger before the Tommy John. I mean, he's the entire package both ways with the bat on the mound. And I, for one, when he came over that first spring training with the Angels, he had a difficult time making contact. I really didn't see it.
So you weren't sold on it.
I wasn't sold. And I did the Angels 30-30 that year. And I remember Mike Trout telling me this guy hits the ball further than anybody I've ever seen.
Wow.
And then after watching it in spring training, I'm like, man, he's having a hard time making contact. You know, he had that big leg kick, and it was like, man, he couldn't get his foot down. His timing was bad, swinging, missing a lot. But, man, he proved me wrong.
I mean, I think he proved a lot of people wrong. Now pitching out of the windup, he's expected to return to the mound sometime in May. Of course,
Jerry, it's very early in the spring, but Yoshinobu Yamamoto, he goes an inning and 2/3. He throws 27 pitches, couple of strikeouts. What did you think of his first one out there today?
I thought it was extremely solid. You know, believe it or not, pitchers, I remember talking to Josh Beckett, I know Kersh at times, they want to be able to pitch from the stretch, want to be able to pitch with runners on base so they can really kind of lock in and really start to use their secondary pitches. That's the most important thing. The secondary pitches, it seemed like it was sharp. Here, this is a breaking ball, but this is not hit too hard. Credit the hitter with a base hit, but all in all, when he got into some trouble, the stuff was there, and that's the most important thing. One more time, it's his first start Cactus League play. It's all about making sure he continues to find his rhythm with his delivery, make sure he's got command of all his pitches, and he's ready to go that very first night in Japan. Even though he's his second year in the big leagues, he's a veteran pitcher. He's been doing it for a long time, and he's pitched well for a long time. So first outing, I would give it a B+.
But they're all very important outings because he will only have 3 more starts before he gets the ball in Japan. One of the storylines this spring is who's going to hold down the 5th spot in the Dodgers rotation to start the year. Bobby Miller is one of the candidates, but he's coming off a really rough season, Jerry. He arrived in camp. You had a chance to talk to him. Very eager to show that he's putting 2024 behind him, but today it lasted just 2 batters, and it was a scary scene, taking a line drive off the head.
Extremely scary scene. Hopefully Bobby Miller is okay. 106 off the bat of Michael Busch. He walks the first hitter. Hitter steals the base, and here, breaking ball, squared up, and Michael Busch hits a rocket, like I mentioned, 106 miles an hour. And here's the thing. Anytime you see a pitcher get hit, you're hoping if he does get hit, it's a glancing blow. This is squared up. Yeah. And I know Bobby really well. He is as tough as it gets. One more look at it. It squares him up. Thankfully, he was able to walk off the field and walk back into the clubhouse under his own power. Once again, he is a tough kid. We're hoping that he's going to be okay. I'm sure they're going to go through some precautionary measures, concussion protocol. I know they'll do that. Most important thing is his health. Hopefully be okay.
Yeah, you could tell that Michael Busch was also concerned immediately off the bat. He could tell that it hit Bobby Miller right in the head, and those guys were former teammates in the Dodgers minor league system. Right now, let's head back to Arizona and hear from the skipper, Dave Roberts, with Kirsten Watson.
Bobby Miller, just obviously how scary to see him go down. He was able to walk off the field, and just from talking to Max Muncy, it did sound like he at least knew where he was, things like that. Have you received an update on how he's doing and what this just means for him this spring training, as he's really been working hard to get back to where he wants to be?
Well, I think certainly it was a very scary moment. From what I've gathered, he's going to be under concussion protocol. We'll keep an eye on him tonight. I don't know what that means as far as going forward. Certainly, it's somewhat of a setback. We got to make sure that he feels okay going forward. I don't know how long this protocol lasts, but again, very scary moment. But it was good to see him actually, walk off the field, kind of know where he was at and all that.
Do you have to go anywhere for medical attention or anything like that?
The doctors. I don't think we're getting any X-rays right now. They just felt that it's a concussion, and we're just going to, or concussion potential, and we'll see where we go. But right now, as of now, no.
Was he able to get his glove or hat deflected at all?
It squared him up pretty good. It was kind of the front side of the head, and you can just see the distance that it traveled once it hit. So there was some deflection, but it hit him pretty flush.
Did he say how much pain he was in?
He didn't feel, when I was on the mound, he didn't express any pain.
Dave, he's one of the tougher guys you got. Are you concerned that he may try to try to do it a little bit too much without getting the medical attention that he needs in the next 24 hours?
Well, I think that not concerned about that in the next 24 to 48 hours. I think he's going to kind of regroup, lay low, and sort of get his wits about him and make sure he's okay. And then after that, you know, Lord willing, he's fine. Then I think that we'll have the conversation because he's going to want to get back out there.
How did Yamamoto look?
I thought Yoshinobu looked good. It was good to get him back out there through that second inning. I thought it was good. It was a good work day for him. I thought the command was pretty good. He used his entire pitch mix, so I thought a positive day for him. And, you know, after that, it just wasn't really good.
Seeing Hae-sung in a game setting, what were your takeaways just from him today?
From who?
Hae-sung Kim.
I thought it was good. You know, I think even today, coming in, knowing he was going to play a game, I thought the focus was a little bit better. Was good, not just better, just good. I thought he had a good game, and so it was just good to get his feet wet a little bit in a big league ball game.
What are your impressions of the ABS?
Yeah, it was good. I think it's actually a pretty good system. Obviously, trying to figure out how many challenges makes the most sense in a major league ball game, but those guys certainly used it, I think, 2 or 3 times today. I like it because especially in a big spot, you want to get the call right.
So for the first time since October 30th, when the Dodgers were winning the World Series at Yankee Stadium, we have actual baseball highlights. Your Dodgers.
山本由伸、ドジャースデビュー戦で圧巻の投球を披露。皆さん、こんにちは。ついにこの瞬間がやってきました。2025年スプリングトレーニングが開幕し、待望の山本由伸がロサンゼルス、ドジャースのユニフォームを着てメジャー初登板を果たしました。この試合、ドジャースはカブスと対戦し、結果は3対12の敗戦となりましたが、それでも山本のピッチングには大きな期待が寄せられました。果たして彼はどのような投球を見せたのか、ドジャースの現状はどうなのか、本日の試合の詳細とともにお届けします。山本由伸、MLB 初登板で見せた圧倒的なポテンシャル。まずは山本由伸の投球内容を振り返ります。彼の成績は以下の通りです。1回に3を投げて3被安打、無失点、無四球、2奪三振、最速97マイル、約 156km 毎時の速球、カッターとカーブで三振を奪う。1回に3という短いイニングながら、全くぶれない安定感を見せつけました。速球は最速97マイル、約 156km 毎時を計測し、日本で見せていた力強いピッチングがそのまま MLB でも通用することを証明しました。特に印象的だったのは、カッターとカーブの精度です。奪った2つの三振は、それぞれカッターとカーブによるもの。変化球のキレが素晴らしく、バッターは対応に苦しんでいました。さらに、四球を一つも与えなかった点も特筆すべきポイントです。MLB ではコントロールが崩れがちな日本人投手も多い中で、彼は冷静にゾーンを攻めていました。この安定感はまさにドジャースのエース候補としてふさわしいものです。ドジャースの強力打線と課題。一方で、試合自体はドジャースにとって厳しい展開となりました。スプリングトレーニングとはいえ、12対3の大敗は決して楽観できるものではありません。しかし、ポジティブなニュースもあります。この試合では、エディ・ロザリオがツーランホームランを放ち、新戦力としての存在感を発揮しました。ドジャースの打線はすでにフレディ、フリーマン、ムーキー、ベッツ、大谷翔平、テオスカー、ヘルナンデスと強力なメンバーが揃っていますが、ロザリオが加わることでさらなる厚みを増すでしょう。それでも、ピッチング陣には課題が残ります。特に、ボビー・ミラーがライナーを受けて負傷退場したのは気になるところです。幸い、大きな怪我には至らなかったものの、先発ローテーションの一角を担う投手だけに、慎重に経過を見守る必要があります。新システム、ABS チャレンジ、初適用、歴史的瞬間の犠牲者はマックス、マンシー。この試合では、今年からスプリングトレーニングで試験導入された ABS、自動ボール、ストライク判定、チャレンジが話題となりました。この制度では、バッター、ピッチャー、キャッチャーの3者のみが、ボール、ストライクの判定をチャレンジできるというもの。試合では、マックス、マンシーが歴史ゆえ初のチャレンジで敗れるという珍事が発生しました。マンシーは、明らかにストライクだと思った、と語りましたが、実際にチャレンジすると判定が覆り、結果として三振。試合後のインタビューで、 まさか自分が歴史に名を刻むとは、と苦笑いしていました。この ABS チャレンジ、シーズン中には導入されませんが、今後の MLB の判定システムに大きな影響を与える可能性があります。大谷翔平、新たな挑戦、フルウィンドアップへ、そして、ドジャースの注目選手といえばやはり大谷翔平です。彼はこれまでエンゼルス時代にストレッチ、セットポジションから投げることが多かったのですが、今回のスプリングトレーニングでは、フルウィンドアップを試す姿勢を見せました。彼自身も、選手として進化し続けるために新しいことを試したい、と語っており、まさに大谷らしい探求心が現れています。過去には、ピッチングと打撃を両立するのは難しい、と言われながらも、MLB 史上最も成功した二刀流選手として君臨している彼、ウィンドアップの導入が今後どのように影響を与えるのか、シーズン本番が待ちきれません。まとめと視聴者への質問。スプリングトレーニング初戦。結果は敗戦でしたが、山本由伸の好投、大谷翔平の進化、新戦力の活躍など、見どころ満載の試合でした。ここで皆さんに質問です。山本由伸は MLB でどんな成績を残せると思いますか？大谷翔平のウィンドアップ投法は成功すると思いますか？ ABS チャレンジはシーズン中にも導入すべきだと思いますか？ぜひコメント欄で意見を聞かせてください。そして、これからも最新の MLB 情報やドジャースの試合レポートをどんどんお届けしていきます。チャンネル登録と高評価をお忘れなく。それでは、また次回の動画でお会いしましょう。